And hello, everybody. How are you doing? Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the book club. Hey, it's Sunday night. It's the book club. How to be an adult in relationships. It's the 5 keys to mindful loving. We are still on chapter 4. Oh my goodness. And oh gosh, it's late tonight, isn't it? So anyway, I just want to welcome everybody and I want to thank you all for joining. We are on page 122 of chapter 4, and today we're going to talk about what love feels like. What does love feel like? What does it feel like to be loved? Now, last week we talked about when romance is addictive. So last week we kind of talked about what love should not feel like, but I like today because today we're going to talk about what love feels like. So anyway, if you want to see some of our other videos that I've done, you can go to the show notes and you click on the little, there's like 3 dots on the video, and it'll open up and it'll be a lot of information in there. What you'll get in there are, oh my goodness, links to previous YouTube videos on this book. If you want to catch up, y'all get this book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships, the 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. That's what we need to do with each other, Black people. We need to be mindful in how we love each other, mature love, not childish stuff. And so you can see all of the past videos. You can read along with me as I go through the book. The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. If you want to hear about that, you want to learn about that, in the show notes is a little bit of a description, but you can, of course, look at the other videos and I go into them in depth. So I just want to welcome everybody. Black Lexicon, nice to see you. Black Lexicon says love feels like a miracle. That's interesting. This is interesting. Khalid is saying love feels like pain. Oh my gosh. I don't know if it's supposed to feel like pain. Maybe there are some painful moments when it comes to actual love, but that's pretty interesting. So why don't y'all write in the chat, what does love feel like to you? Giving him something he can feel. Love feels like confusion, Chandler. Chandler is saying confusion. Oh my goodness. Love feels like confusion. Well, I don't want you to be confused on understanding and learning about when I go live. So I go live every Sunday, but not always at the same time. So if you want to know when I go live, you can type the word love, LOVE, to 87948. And then you'll be able to know. You won't be in any pain, hopefully. And you won't be confused, and it won't be a miracle to get you in here and to see and to join me as we go through this book about mindfulness. Mindfulness, it really is the key to living your life to the fullest, living mindful and not reacting, being mindful in your response to people. So anyway, so let's get started. I want to get started with right here on page 122. It's called What Love Feels Like. What is it that love feels like? And as you guys come in here, I see you guys filling up here. I can see the numbers increasing. Type in the chat, what does love feel like for you? Oh, Ayana says love feels like genuine respect and necessary sacrifice. A necessary sacrifice. Okay, I like that. Genuine respect. Definitely lots of respect is what love feels like. So this is pretty good. You guys are kind of on it already with what love feels like. So right here on page 122, other people, you guys can come in and type in what love feels like for you as we go along. Okay, so I like the author because he starts each section with a quote. And so his quote here says, is it a cocktail, this feeling of joy? So I guess maybe this quote says, love feels like joy sometimes. Is it a cocktail, the feeling of joy, Or is it what I feel, the real McCoy? Is it a cocktail? A cocktail, interesting. This feeling of joy, a cocktail of feelings, this feeling of joy. Or is it what I feel, the real McCoy? Gosh, that's really interesting. I think this is a quote by someone named Cole Porter. I don't know who Cole Porter is, definitely a poet. So this is interesting. He begins this section with sort of a question. Is it a cocktail, a feeling of joy, or is it what I feel, the real McCoy? So the real McCoy in my mind means, is it genuine? Oh, yes. Is it safe? Love feels safe, right? Love does feel safe. Is it a cocktail? Yeah, that's deep. Cocktail means to me that it's like cocktails like a range of feelings. What's going on? Am I feeling joy? Whether it's joy that you experience, is this joy genuine or is it really just a facade? That's kind of what the real McCoy means. This is genuine. This is actual love, or is it fake? Because we spent quite a bit of time talking about, especially last week, when romance is addictive. And the week before, we talked about rising in love, not falling in love. We want to rise in love. So this can leave us a little bit confused. Sometimes we want to know that what we're experiencing is genuine and not a facade. So it's a great metaphor because the real McCoy to me means, is this the real McCoy? Is it authentic? Is it true love? Or is it just a cocktail of things that aren't real? And your love has to be tested to find out if it's real. And so this is a really interesting one. Hey, Rhonda, how you doing? Yes. Or is it a placebo? Oh my gosh, the placebo effect. Let me see. Yes. Thank you, Dennis, for the kind words. Is it a placebo? Yeah, you don't want it to be a placebo. You want to get the real pill, the real McCoy. You don't want to get the placebo. The placebo is a sugar pill. It's not the real thing, right? So that's an interesting way to begin. Okay, so let's move on. Love can be confused with clinging that is welcomed by the other. Sexual desire that is satisfied by the other. It could be a neediness that is fulfilled by the other. Love can even be confused with dependence, surrender, conquest, submission, dominance, gratification, satisfaction, pain, or addiction. Okay, someone said pain. So that's interesting. It could be all of these other things. That's not the real McCoy. I may feel that I love you because you love me. It's nice to have somebody pay attention to you. It could be flattering sometimes to have somebody really pay attention to you. So, you could just, I don't know why I like him. I just like him because he picked me. There's somebody who's just like so excited that somebody picks you that you don't even stop and reflect to think if you really like him. Would you pick this person or her? Would you pick him or her? So yeah. Let's see. Oh, or will not let me feeling lonely. Wow. Or well, let's start from the beginning. I may feel that I love you because you love me, or will not leave me. Or will not let me feel lonely, or will not make me feel anything. Sometimes it's an escape. I may feel I love you and say it with passion when I am mostly reacting to the way my own needs are being met through you. So you're using that person to meet your own needs. Oh, but what about the other person's needs? Interesting. We'll talk about that, I think, later on. I may feel I love you and say it with passion when I am mostly reacting to to the way my own needs are being met through you. I may say I love you and simply mean I am attached to you and it feels good. Oh my goodness, I'm attached to you and it feels good. So love is very complex then. That's what I'm thinking. Like there's a range of emotions that bring, to me, love is warmth and tenderness and passion and devotion. It provides. Who said love was secure? I like that one. That's how I feel. I feel like love is security to me. And you have a sense of belonging. You feel like you're with your person. You feel very much comforted and connected to that person. You feel like that person is your soulmate on some level. So yeah, I think love is very transformative. Let me see what some of y'all say. Philip says two people working as a team or partnership. Definitely. And it's so amazing how sometimes couples don't even sit down and talk about how they can help each other. Sometimes they don't have these conversations about planning for the future. And it's a great bonding experience when two people can sit down and plan for the future. And let's see, Tony says, love will find a way. Yes, love will always find a way through difficult moments. So that's why I think love needs to be tested. You would want to see your love tested because that's how you know it's real. It stands the test of time. Excellent. Let's see. What is love? How do you know it's real? Oh, Yvonne. Someone who really gets me. Yeah, someone who really gets me. It can't be instant. It takes time to get each other. Let's see. Love is ease to me. Yes, Rhonda. Sometimes if it's so difficult, sometimes if things are just too difficult, there's always something going on. It doesn't feel very easy. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for chiming in. Yvonne, someone who really gets me. Yeah, you feel like that's your person. I like that one. Okay, let's move on. Okay, we can make love for good feelings that arise in us when we are in love or because we believe we possess the other. The 5 A's are anecdotes to such motivations. The 5 A's. They are authentic gifts, difficult to give sometimes, that require and create a caring heart. In other directed, love free of narcissism. Love other directed, love that's free of narcissism. In real love, I feel and show an unconditional regard for you, and I love you even in times when you do not fulfill me. It's not conditional. It's not conditional. I love you even when you don't fulfill me, even when you disappoint me. I still love you. You will be disappointed in the relationship. Trust me. It's inevitable. All of us, every single 100% of all relationships have disappointment. That's being realistic. But it's being able to feel that disappointment, being able to openly communicate how you feel, what you would have loved to have seen happen. And once you communicate with your partner about, oh, I didn't really care for that so much. I'd like for you to do it differently next time. And then you actually see that person do it differently. That makes you feel more love for each other. And then you know that what you're doing isn't working and you can shift and adjust. I love that. I love that back and forth communication because that's how you know that person is ready to be in a relationship. Are they willing to some extent shift for you, make compromises for you, be flexible with you? That's somebody who knows how to love somebody, not narcissism. Narcissism, they're not going to be flexible at all. They're going to give you ultimatums, which is not healthy at all in relationships. Okay, narcissism. In real love, I feel and show an unconditional regard for you, and I love you even in the times when you do not fulfill me. My love can survive the periods when you have nothing to give. Such love reflects my own neediness or expectations, but a commitment to a path of giving and receiving. I don't know if y'all know, but we do need to talk a little bit, if you haven't already, about the 5 A's. They're talking about giving and receiving, the 5 keys to mindful loving. Those are the 5 A's. Y'all know what they are? Acceptance, right? So that's how you know, that's the answer. What love feels like. You know what love feels like? Love feels like giving and receiving the 5 A's. Acceptance. That means embracing someone for who they truly are, flaws and all. We talked about flaws last week. Flaws and all. Y'all get that Beyonce song? Don't be playing. Beyonce got some good music out there. She's got some music that's okay, but flaws and all. Y'all download that song by Beyonce, flaws and all. So it's acceptance. That's what she's talking about. She wrote a whole song on how love is acceptance, flaws and all. And what it does, it creates a safe space. Thank you. Natasha talks about safety, and love feels safe. And that's what acceptance means. When you have a space where your partner can feel vulnerable and they can grow within a relationship, that's how you know your partner feels safe. So Natasha has nailed it, feeling safe. So that's the first A. The second A is appreciation, gratitude, recognizing the value that the other person brings to the relationship. Not even what they bring, just their presence is appreciated. And they get a deep sense of validation and emotional support and nourishment. That's appreciation. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate what you bring to the table. I'm cultivating that sense of safety. Yes. Elizabeth is reminding us of the 5 A's. I got to remember. Okay. Acceptance, appreciation. Oh, attention. Yes. So attention is important. Attention is providing undivided attention and active listening. That means that when that person is talking to you, you don't have your face in your phone the whole time. You're actively listening. That means you value. When your loved one is talking and they're saying something and you put your phone down and say, tell me more. A narcissistic person might just be like, whatever, and then be on their phone, right? But if they put their phone down and they say, tell me more, and give you their undivided attention, that means they prioritize your thoughts. They prioritize your experience that you want to share, and they're prioritizing your emotions. So attention is so important. That's love. That's what love feels like. Love also feels affection, right? That means you demonstrating affection is not just physical touch. It's giving words of affirmation sometimes, acts of kindness that fosters connection and intimacy. Affection is so important. And the last one, attention, appreciation, affection, and allowance. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate you. Elizabeth tells us allowance is important. So allowance means you are allowing your partner the freedom to pursue their individual interests. So a good, loving relationship supports what you want to do, supports your dreams, your personal growth. That's all about respect, right? When you're allowing that person to be who and what they are, it's a sign of respect. A healthy sense of independence. Y'all don't have to be together all the time to be loved. My husband right now, I just got off the phone with him before I came on here. I just talked to Dr. Boyce. He's in Florida dealing with family stuff. And I just called him to talk to him. We don't have to be together to be in a relationship physically together. We could still have intimacy and share with each other without being in their presence all the time. So yeah. So I think this is authentic. This is what love feels like. I think that's the whole point of that. So when you love someone, you want the best for them. And I think that's a great foundation, and not expecting that person to fulfill you 100%. Oh, Rhonda wants to know, did she miss one? Acceptance, appreciation, attention, allowing, and what's the one she's missing? Acceptance, affection. Affection, Rhonda, affection. And you could go to the show notes. They're listed in the show notes, and an example or definitions are in the show notes. Okay. All right. So that's what love is. How y'all doing? Hey, everybody. We are, just to let some of the people who just joined us, we are reading this book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships. It's the 5 Keys to Mindful Love. And David Richo, y'all, I interviewed David Richo, this book, 20th edition. Check out that interview. The link is in the show notes. I got the author on here. I don't know. You have to give me some suggestions on what book to do after this one. But it was really kind of cool to get the actual author to come on and talk to us about the 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. And he's got another book coming out. So we will invite him back on and have him talk about his other book. So I'm sure he appreciates the book sales. I'm certain the downloads. I'm certain he appreciates that. Okay, moving along. We are on page 123. And before I start up on page 123, I just want to remind you guys, I see y'all coming in here, but be sure to text the word love, there it is, to 87948. So you can get information on when to go live. If you want to work with me individually, or you and your partner trying to get authentic love, you can contact me at coachingwithdralicia.com. Can y'all see that? That looks kind of tiny. Let me see if I can get it to look a little better. What about that? I think that highlights it a little better. Okay. So be sure you can contact me there. Oh, and follow me on Instagram. Y'all, I'm almost at 10,000 followers. Yay, I'm so excited. So y'all be sure to follow me on Instagram, Coaching with Dr. Alicia on Instagram. I'm trying to get to 10,000. I'm almost there. I'm so close to 10,000 followers. So I'm trying to be big time social media. So be sure to follow me. Okay. Page 123. 123. So let's move on. We may demand through all, we may expect or demand all through life that people show us love in just the way we first felt loved. Making a fuss over us, standing up for us, showing physical affection, and so forth. One of my earliest recollections is of my Italian grandma. So now he's talking about his Italian grandmother and how I felt loved by her simply by the way she stayed with me while mother was at work. Attention. She sat beside me as I worked on my Dick Tracy puzzle. She listened to the radio comedians with me. Although she couldn't follow in English, she didn't even understand. She just was there, presence. All my life at family gatherings, I find myself sitting in the midst of my elderly aunts, seeking that uniquely familiar comfort that comes to me only from older female presence. Y'all get that on Thanksgiving? Y'all have that on the holiday? It is a holiday weekend. Y'all get to hang out with people, to put your phones down, step away from social media, and spend time with loved ones. I did. I did this holiday. He goes on to say, my rational mind tells me they're old, they are not so mobile, and that is why they stay so long in their seats. So consciously, you're telling yourself they don't have anything else to do, right? But no mind can dissuade the cells of my body from what they feel. On my trip to England, I love tea time when no one gets up and goes away. Even that felt like love to me. I know I have sometimes importuned friends to spend an evening at home rather than go out. Yeah, because sometimes going out somewhere, you don't really spend good time with each other. Sometimes I went to the movies today to see Wicked, you know. By the way, Wicked is an amazing film. All y'all watch that film. But sometimes going to the movies, it's not the same thing because it's like you're just sitting with each other. You're not really interacting with each other. You're just looking at a screen. So sometimes going to the movies, not necessarily the best way to spend time. I wouldn't recommend it on the first date, going to the movies. It kind of, maybe the second or third date. But I think the first date, you need to have dinner. You need to put your phones down. You need to get to know each other. So anyway, I know I have sometimes importuned friends to spend an evening at home rather than go out. I am always trying to arrange for the love I remember and want. I am still equating greater fuss with greater love. Yeah, I think this is really, really kind of interesting. The 5 keys to mindful loving, not one of them references how much money was in your checking account. You can't substitute money for love. True love, I think, transcends material possessions and financial wealth, to be honest. Genuine care costs you nothing. Emotional connection, mutual respect, all of these things, it costs you nothing. And it's so interesting because when I talk to children who don't get a chance to spend enough time with their parents, who feel lonely and alone, not once did they ever comment on, well, I kind of wish my mom or my dad spent more money on me. They never have said that. They've always said that they wish that their parents would spend more time with them, giving them the 5 A's. That's really what children often look for and seek out in relationships. And maybe they don't have the language to say that, but when I talk to them and listen to them, this is what kids are looking for, particularly with fathers. Because I think sometimes fathers feel like they are valued based on how much they can contribute to the family financially. And I know that, material wealth is important, but, love is really paying attention to that someone and recognizing that children and your partner, they deeply desire and they do benefit from your presence. The 5 A's: acceptance, appreciation, allowance, not allowance like financial allowance, allowance like allowing you to be who you are and validating that, showing affection, giving attention, all of those things. That's really what people want. Anyway, something to think about. Okay. When our demands for love become impulsive and insatiable, we have a clue that we doubt our own lovability. For when we doubt that we are lovable, we often need to see it proved over and over. Prove your love to me over and over. This seems narcissistic on our part, but viewed from a more compassionate perspective, it may suggest that we have a low opinion of ourselves. Indeed, the need to be seen as special can be a compensation for feeling unloved. I don't know why, as I was reading this, my mind went to celebrities. Maybe it's because, I use behaviors of celebrities as examples to teach. That's how I've kind of, I do this in the classroom, actually. I'm a college professor at my university, and a lot of times when I'm giving lectures, I use celebrities as an illustration. So why would I not do that here? But it just reminds me, when I think about narcissism, a narcissistic person expects the 5 A's, but they're not willing to give the 5 A's. They want it from everybody around them. It's never enough. But when you ask them to give the 5 A's, they don't, sometimes they aren't able to do that. And I think that's unfortunate, because I think that, I don't know. I think that I think that sometimes those people are deeply insecure. Deeply insecure people really need to have that constant attention, or what people call a narcissistic supply, but I like to call it just attention and validation. You need it always, attention and validation. So that's unfortunate. Okay, moving along. We are on page 124. Okay. How can we overcome our self-doubt? Through a simple practice, act lovingly. Lovability is actually the other side to the coin of loving. People who believe they are lovable are people who love. Wow. Okay. People who love are more likely to be loved. People who love are more likely to be loved. This involves letting go of ego, but it also requires a genuine frame, a unique frame of mind. When any conflict or issue arises between ourselves and someone else, we ask not how to win, but how to sum up a loving intent and how to act on it. Conflict. Really pay attention to how somebody reacts when they're in conflict. And that's really fascinating, because acting lovable, it's funny. Like, let me just give an example. There's so much hate online. And when I see people who just spew on their social media, they don't like anything. Like, everything Donald Trump is bad. Every movie that comes out is awful. Every celebrity is, I don't know, a part of the Illuminati, and they're all miserable. Every time you see somebody that constantly spews negativity, I think that's how you know that they really suffer with their personal life. I'm almost certain their personal life is not fulfilling in a lot of ways. So it's interesting. Pay attention to what people say and do and how they act and respond, particularly during conflict. Do they blame the others and say it's their fault, they doing this, or are they able to sit back and say, let me try to figure out what's going on. Let me try to give a loving response to this person. And sometimes the other person doesn't respond. This happens a lot. Sometimes you can be loving towards someone else and they not reciprocate. But that doesn't mean you need to be nasty to them. That means you just need to give it an understanding, and you could honestly say goodbye to somebody and not have to do it in a way that's mean, right? So you can still act loving. Okay. Our immediate question is, how can I be as loving as possible in these circumstances? When we show the 5 A's to others, they feel loved and at the same time see us as lovable. To shift our focus from concern for personal victory or vindication or an attempt to be more loving brings us bliss. So instead of trying to win, you're trying to, I'm right and you're wrong. When you have that sort of approach in a conflict, it's best to be loving. It's almost like that saying about relationships, do you want to be right or do you want to be married? They ask that question. You're going to walk around thinking I'm right and she's wrong for what she's done. You can't do that. Or he's wrong for what he's done. That's not the best way to look at situations. You're wrong. Yes, Rhonda, got to use discernment. Absolutely. Interesting. So this is it. This is the reason why. Let me read this again. To shift our focus from concern for personal victory or vindication to an attempt to be more loving brings us bliss. And that bliss is the best context for letting go of ego and releasing the 5 A's. Not judging someone else, right? But just learning how to love, even in giving a loving response. Even if you have to say goodbye to somebody, you can say goodbye to you in this moment. I really appreciate the time we have, but this relationship doesn't work for me anymore. You don't have to change. It's just this relationship. And you can say goodbye and terminate in a way that's loving. You don't have to be nasty about it. Okay. All right. One result of our freedom from neediness. Wait, where am I? Okay, nope, sorry. Here we go. When excitement comes from learning to invent love in every thought, every word, every deed, we soon realize that we are lovable. Ah, interesting. Let me say that again. When excitement comes from learning to invent, you invent love in every thought. Love in every thought. So when you think about somebody you don't like, how can you put love back into it? Invent love in every thought that you think, every word that you say, and every deed, everything that you do. Then you start to realize that you're lovable, and that's how you get love in your life. Because of our new manner, we love ourselves more. So how you behave, how you act, if your thoughts are hatred, if your words that you spew out of your mouth is surrounded around hatred, if what you do is surrounded around vindictiveness, that means you're not a lovable person. Yeah, you create it. You have to invent love. Even if you're not getting it, even if you feel like there's a lack thereof. Last week, we talked about the fountain from within. If you don't have that loving fountain from within, this is how you create that fountain, by inventing love in your words, in your thoughts, in your deeds. And that's how you become lovable. That's something to think about. Because of our new manner, we love ourselves more, and this leads others to love us more. So anybody feel like they're not in a lovable relationship? Anybody have interactions with other people that's hostile? Anybody? Anybody feel like a situation is going sour? Try this act. How about doing that? If you feel like something is not going your way, change it around by inventing love in your thoughts. Change the way you think. If you dread, Sunday night, and you dread going to work tomorrow, or if something that you dread doing, change your thoughts. Say, I'm going to think something positive. I'm going to think of something more loving towards somebody, or to a situation, or to a job. And see how it changes your week. Okay, that'll be our test. I have to, you have to come back next week and tell me how it went. Okay. Others will love us more. When we stop insisting that others show us how much they love us, stop insisting. The bottomless pit inside has been filled at last, or at least it becomes less annoying. And exuberance replaces our neediness. When we give what we miss. So if you feel like people aren't paying attention to you, then you start paying attention to people. If you feel like people don't accept you, then you become more accepting. So you have to give what you feel like you're missing. We no longer miss it as much. Letting love through us makes us the path love takes. So we become a vessel of that love. Wow. When we can ask for love in return rather than demanding it compulsively. That's what happens. we may find ourselves receiving what we need when we no longer have to have it. Very good. Yes. Rhonda said, I can't wait. Can't wait to get this book. Y'all get this book for people who are just joining us. How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by David Richo. Let me just tell y'all, he's trying to make us all into the Buddha. He's trying to make us mindful. He wants us to join and to adhere to the ways of the Buddha and to incorporate that into our lives so that we're not reactive, so that we can act in a way. We can create what we want to see in our lives. So if you want to live a loving, stress-free life, you have to invent it. It's simple, but it's not easy to do because, Lord, the world can test us. So this is just a reminder today before I got a busy schedule tomorrow. Let me see my schedule. Looking at my appointment list. Yes, I got a big long day tomorrow. And so we have to, yes. Zara, reactive abuse is real. Yeah, you get triggered and you just lose it. And you say things that are hatred. You say things, your words can be hatred feeling and not loving. Your actions can be vindictive and nasty and mean. And I think as a result, you start seeing yourselves in a way that's negative, and it can be pretty sad. Is Sammy trying to flirt with me? Is Sammy trying to flirt with me? I'm gonna tell my husband, Sammy. He doesn't like that. She's so pretty. Well, thank you, Sammy. I hope you're talking about me. I don't know if you're talking about me, but I'm just going, guess what? I'm going to assume that you are. Thank you, Sammy. Sammy Joe. Okay. All right. Moving on. We're almost done. Hey, look at this. One result of our freedom from neediness. Freedom from neediness. Oh, by the way, I think that's what this section brings up, the word narcissism. Yes, Tammy. Yes. I'm looking at Tammy. Tammy's talking about narcissism. I think narcissistic people are highly insecure and they are very, very needy. And they don't have that inner fountain to fill them up. And they're always looking for somebody or something to give them constant attention and validation because they feel really insecure. So I really do think that that's a dynamic that people who have narcissistic tendencies. And by the way, I'm hoping that they redefine the word narcissism based on recent research on the topic, that maybe it can be narcissistic spectrum, because I think a lot of us are needy and a lot of us are insecure. And that's the root of narcissism. It's neediness and insecurity. And so it's a spectrum of narcissism. Some people are way on the high end of narcissism, but there's some people that has a little bit of narcissism, right? So it can be a little bit of insecurity, a little bit of neediness, and needing that sense of validation. May not make you a narcissistic personality disorder, but it does make you have this bottomless pit and this neediness. Okay, let's move on. One result of our freedom from neediness is that our love expands to touch all people, free of neediness. And I think that people who are insecure are looking for that. They want to be able to accept the 5 A's, and they want to be able to give the 5 A's. Sometimes it's just hard for them to show a certain level of empathy because no one was empathetic to them. And so they're trying, they feel like they need to have it because there's a deep sense of not only insecurity, but shame. I'm going to talk about that. Actually, I have a Mental Health Monday. We're going to talk about the fact that, was it Nick Cannon? Yeah, Nick Cannon said that he was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. We're going to do a video on that and talk about that, not to talk about Nick Cannon, but we'll just use this as an illustration to educate all of us on what healthy relationships look like. So, okay. We love others because we and they are intimately connected to one another. There is not a separate self anywhere in sight. Compassionate love is the natural response to the human predicament of suffering and the human truth of interdependence. And it lightens the burden of finding a special someone. We are less needy when we grow more responsive to other needs. That is basically the crux of what I do in therapy with couples. I try to get couples who really do love each other. I try to get them to sit down and respond to another person's needs. And in turn, what happens is that you filled up. If you feel like your partner is not being affectionate with you, then maybe you need to turn around and be more affectionate with them, and then you'll get that in return. So think about that. Okay. All right. So we're almost done. Hey, look at this. I got us under an hour today. Okay. He ends with this quote. Okay. At the bottom of page 124, he ends with this quote. If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me, right? If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me. Yes, let you be the one that's the most loving. So kindness does not mean you have to be a pushover, of course. It means having the strength and courage to be compassionate and considerate while maintaining healthy boundaries, of course. But it's about treating others with respect and empathy without compromising any part of our own well-being. So I think being kind with others and giving to others, in some sense, sets the tone and makes that other person give it to you. So finding a balance, of course, is important, but practicing kindness with integrity, I think we can foster our relationships to be healthier and more harmonious and create a positive atmosphere. Yes, Buddha personified. Yes, Rhonda got it. Rhonda got it. So, yes, let the more loving one be me. All right, we're almost at the top of the hour. We are done for today. Next week, we're going to talk about practices. Can y'all see that? We're going to talk about practices. So next week when we meet, y'all bring your journals. Bring your journals, and we're going to talk about how we can incorporate high romance, because that's the chapter 4. We're going to talk about how we can incorporate high romance and what love really feels like. We're going to talk about how we can incorporate it into our life. It'll be exercises. So bring your thinking caps, bring your journals, and we're going to get to work next week. We're going to talk about simply noticing where I am. That's a very Buddha thing to do. We're going to talk about responding to those who seduce and then withhold. So we're going to talk about that push-pull relationship. Come and talk to me and pay attention to me. And then when that person gets really close, you get scared and push them away. We're going to talk about how to respond to people like that. What else are we going to talk about next week? We're going to talk about, how to release ourselves from denial. We're going to talk about how to deal with obsession. We're going to talk about all of this next week. So be prepared to do some work next week. I'll be giving you all the things to do to make sure that love is real in your life. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Yay. I will be back. I'm traveling. I think I'll be traveling next week. I'm not certain what time or anything, but I will see you guys next week. Bring your journals. Thank you, everybody. Be sure to text the word love to 87948. be sure to hit me up, coachingwithdralicia.com. You need help with you and your loved one. You want to be able to give and receive the 5 A's. Make sure you contact me at Coaching with Dr. Alicia and follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I'm almost at 10,000. I'm so excited. My goal is to try to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. So I got like 4 more weeks. It's December 1st. I'm almost there. Just a couple of hundred left and I'll have 10,000 followers. So y'all follow me on Instagram. Follow me. And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Zara. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Elizabeth, Natasha. Thank you, Green Gold. That's what's up, Green Gold. Thank you, Michelle and Chandler and everybody who was engaging in the chat. All right, everybody. Have a good week. Bye-bye.